And I can bring in now a guest, Virginia State Senator Richard Black, to discuss this story in a bit more detail. Richard, Donald Trump called the bill significantly flawed. He's not a man who usually goes against his own instincts, but he has signed it. Why do you think?
Well, he had no choice to sign it. He could have left it unsigned and it could have taken effect, notwithstanding his lack of signature. There's no way that he could override a veto. He couldn't get a veto sustained. So what he did, he decided that he would sign it and he would issue a signing statement. And a signing statement sort of expresses his displeasure with the measure itself. There's no doubt that Donald Trump and that Secretary Tillerson were adamantly opposed to this. It was a very, very bad bill. It was ridiculous. It was confrontational. It interfered with foreign relations in an unprecedented way. But he really had no choice. He was stuck with it.
I don't know if you know this, Russia's Prime Minister has commented saying that this is the United States declaring a total trade war. What's your reaction to that?
Well, you know, the irony of this is that throughout the election, Donald Trump was criticized with the idea that he might go out and create a trade war by renegotiating treaties with other countries. The irony is, here is Congress, which criticized him so much in the campaign, and yet they are the ones who are initiating a trade war. What they're doing, I think, at the heart of this whole thing is the desire to stop the Nord Stream 2 gas project, which provides natural gas from Russia going into Germany and from there to other places. This is to provide some redundancy for the gas that's already going into Europe. Russia has provided gas to Europe with no problems whatsoever for decades, and now they just want to increase their volume. And I think, you know, the United States at this point is becoming a real power in liquefied natural gas. And I think to some extent it was designed to block the additional Russian gas from getting in there, partly to benefit American manufacturers. Now, I'm a great supporter of American liquefied natural gas, but it needs to be done in an open market. And so the irony is that it is Congress that is starting a trade war. It is not the president. The president opposes a trade war, and yet he's forced into one.
Sanctions are used as a weapon to hurt other countries. Who do you think is going to be hurt the most here? Because you've got Russia involved, Iran, China, but maybe even the US itself could suffer, especially if Europe takes action.
Well, a lot of people are being hurt very badly by these. Germany is probably the principal one, but the French, the Austrians, the Italians, obviously the Russians, but American companies such as ExxonMobil and Shell, which have been involved in very large oil projects together with Russia, they're being hurt. I don't think this benefits anybody except perhaps the, group of people who make immense profits from selling arms and creating needless tensions and that sort of thing. I think it was a terrible bill, and it's disturbing that it was passed by such a large majority of the Congress. Many of them just seem to walk in lockstep with some of the most foolish things that are proposed. And at the same time, honestly, I can hardly tell you anything positive that the Congress has managed to accomplish. But now I can identify something that was very negative and very substantial also.
Is this going to be the tone for the next 3 years, Congress and the President disagreeing fundamentally, or do you think they will find common ground on issues?
I hope that they'll find common ground. the president is making a great deal of progress domestically. The economy has picked up substantially since he became president. He is chopping back on regulations. He is doing many, many good things. But in foreign policy, unfortunately, you have this deep state. And of course, primarily it's in New York, it's in Washington, but also there are foreign actors. There are people like George Soros, and they make enormous sums of money on the arms market and by creating chaos in different countries, and then they'll buy out different industries at a nickel on the dollar. This is not what Donald Trump wanted to do. It's not what he said he intended to do when he was running for president. I don't think it's what's in his heart, but I think that it's being forced upon him by this deep state, the oligarchs who rule the world, and they control the drugs, they control the oil, and they control the war profits, and these things do nothing for ordinary people, whether they're Americans or Germans or Russians or Syrians. They just create suffering for the people. And I believe that Trump will do whatever he is able to do to turn things around. But this deep state is a very, very powerful entity, and it controls a lot of votes in Congress.
Richard, fascinating to get your views. We appreciate you coming on RT International this evening. Richard Black, Virginia State Senator, thanks again.